so far. So no problem to anybody. I know that everything and things that happen. So let's just get today knocked out, and hopefully for anyone who's on campus, we can go to that Light the Lake event. Shout out Joshua Needs for that later. To start this thing off, I know if you guys haven't done so, to do the link. I know I'm preaching to the choir about opening the link, because that's something I don't even do well. But if you haven't yet, just knock that out. All you do is click on the link and it marks you as here. So is anyone here for open forum? Don't think so. So that being said, and we do not have anyone here for speaker's podium. I do want to let you guys know that the Dean of Students, Andy Petit, will be here next week to talk about some of the things we discussed with housing a couple weeks ago. It would have happened faster, but a technical issue on my end made me miss out on getting him faster because something that just didn't go through. So just be looking forward to that next week. I know we discussed that a couple weeks ago, but if you guys want to bring that back up, and anything else that you'd have in kind of the student affairs kind of side of things, Andy knows a lot of those kind of things. So that being said, the first thing that I have, or first thing on the list, is office reports. So really quickly, the biggest thing I had, and it's just so we can bring it up in new business and decide on it later, is Camry Tharp, was an assistant director for student engagement, is starting a chain of events called Freshman Fridays that are supposed to appeal to a large freshman population, but they're open for anybody on campus. Basically, the goal of these events are to hire a fruit truck and like throw small games or stuff into, I'm not really sure the area on campus. However, it's basically just an event, and we would be partnering with her office on assisting funding and running that. So the reason I bring it up is just because I don't have to do a weird like entertain a motion for new business, and then hopefully we can discuss it later, and just to put it on your guys' radar so we can come back to in a couple minutes in new business. So that was something I've worked on. Something else I've worked on is going to speak to the commencement, or attending the commencement committee to discuss and hear about what commencement will look like. While I'm not at odds to speak as to what it will be like now, because I haven't gotten the go ahead to talk about information, I did reach out this afternoon and ask whenever we could hear about those things at SGA, and hopefully give that blessing before it moves on to any other higher authority authorizing that event. So hopefully we can avoid some of those things that we've seen in the past that cause us a lot of funky trouble. So that was one of the biggest things I've done, and just keep your radar out for that. As always, as well, that I'll be working on some more advising stuff with Robert and Jennifer in the coming week. And then last is just, actually, I don't have anything else that's worth reporting for that. So that being said, you go ahead, Jennifer.
So this week I have been working on, well, actually I had my first day in the office on Tuesday, so that was very exciting. And then I've been working on getting a new newsletter sent out to you guys. We're going to work on a monthly newsletter. Well, I am. So if there's anything that you would like to be put in the February announcement section, whether that's, a meeting or activity that another club is hosting, just shoot me an email. We'll get that worked out. And then, as President Menhinnet said, we are working on a whole bunch of advising stuff, which is going to be really, really exciting. I'm looking forward to working with all of those extra committees. And then finally, I have an update to share from Cameron. And let's see if I can get the video pulled up. She has a message for you guys. Let's see. Okay, so I'm going to start sharing my screen. And here is the video in full.
Hey guys! Wow, I miss you all so much. As much as I absolutely love grad school and how it's going, and I really especially love the class that takes place at the same time as these meetings, I really miss hearing from all of y'all and seeing all of y'all each week. Something I used to look forward to a lot, so a little sad. Sadly, it gets a little bit more sad. Well, really, it's more bittersweet. So, I graduated, I had my nice degree, and I actually, with my degree, was able to get a job in my field. I will be a behavior technician at the Andrews Center working with kids with autism, and that's like dream come true. A really big deal to me. I am so excited. My first day's tomorrow. I will be sitting in front of a computer going through HR videos, but I'm just so excited between that. So there's the sweet part of the news, and the bitter part is that it is a full-time position, big girl job kind of thing, and so I will not have time to give the treasurer position the time and energy it deserves. That being said, before I go, I would really love to formally nominate Senator Potter, Senator Lamberti, Senator Foote, and Senator Boardman for the position of treasurer. With them being in my SGAC committee, I have no doubt that they will do a fantastic job taking over SGAC treasurer position. They're all very dedicated students and hard workers, very passionate about SGAC and ask a ton of questions and just very involved. And they know the process of it all. For anyone in the other positions in General Assembly, please feel free to run. Also, I'm super excited to see where the treasurer position goes. As far as for me, I am going to hopefully try and stay involved as in SGA as I can. Perhaps become part of the judicial board if that fits in with my schedule enough. Fingers crossed for that because I still want to be a part of all this. And if not, I'm really hoping that if my schedule ever allows me to come back as a senator. SGA has been something that I have been super passionate about for like 3 years now, and it's definitely hard to let it go. Very sad about that, but I love where SGA is now. All the senators right now are just absolutely fantastic. So it's probably the best SGA has been since I have been a part of it. So I really, like I said, I just don't have any doubts about the future and where SGA is going to go. And I will happily observe where all the accomplishments y'all have from a distance. And yeah, feel free to reach out to me. Y'all know my email. Well, actually, I'll won't have my employee email. So clong10@pax. Y'all can reach out to me anytime. I'm so very happy to talk to y'all about senator projects and all that good stuff. So, with that said, I will see y'all sometime whenever I see y'all. Hopefully on campus when I come back. But y'all take care.
So that is our announcement from former Treasurer Long. And if you weren't crying before that video, I'm not surprised if you're crying after because I cried watching it. I'm really going to miss Cameron. And that is the end of my report.
Alrighty, thank you so much for that, Jennifer. And I'd second Jennifer. I'm not crying. You guys are crying. So if you guys see me crying, I swear it's just kind of hot in this room. And sometimes when it gets really hot or emotional, my eyes water up, or just kind of like a physical reason. It's kind of just like a defect. So Robert, you go ahead.
So let's see, what part of the agenda are we on here?
Just report anything you're working on going into next week too.
Okay, so I think if it wasn't clear right now, I think one of the things I'm going to try to work on is getting our organization a little cleaned up. Our Engage page from last semester has a lot of members. I'm trying to get that taken care of. And then I've been doing a decent job, I guess, of taking the attendance. So that's been helpful doing it this way. It's given us the ability to kind of see where there's some memberships that are not there, but like Jennifer said, reaching out is going to be something we're going to have to do because our numbers are dwindling. That's usually how it starts at the start of the semester. Jennifer also mentioned advising. Again, I think I've already talked to the people that were interested, and I assume Taylor has asked me as well. So I assume you got that email, Taylor. And then if anybody else is extremely interested in doing anything with the advising, then you can let me know as well. With all of the people changing, the judicial board does still have open positions. So let me know if you're considering that, or if you know somebody who is not going to be able to do it this semester. That's always a way we can kind of keep you on board and in case of a need. I have one thing in old business. I know we've talked about the guest policy. We never actually kind of got back to that. So something I'm going to bring up in old business. We do have the Zoom fixed. That was a big thing on my list to get because we can do polls now on this one. And that's going to be all.
All right, thank you, Robert. And so we'll move on to student life really fast. Go ahead, Jennifer. Anything to report on student life?
I did reach out to Camry Tharp, and she is excited to have our help. As Josh mentioned, the freshman Fridays, except for the one today, obviously, because we're in a meeting right now. But she is super excited to have our help, and she's super excited to work with all of you. So that is super exciting for me. I've used that phrase a lot, but it's really exciting. And then for communications committee, I didn't have anyone show up today. So I've just been working on the newsletter that I'm planning to send out to you guys. Remember, committee attendance is mandatory.
That's right. And whenever we get a couple more officers on board, we'll reissue some focus onto those areas and hopefully get some more people kind of in that regard in the communications line. Probably this evening. This evening, I'm going to send out a little bit out to each one of you guys. I'll get over it a little bit more in student voice reports, but kind of in the communications and marketing side. I made a flyer for each constituency. I want to try to just send it out to where you only get your own. That's been my hardest thing. So that way you guys don't get like an overload of emails that are like different flyers for each one. But kind of my hope for those is in that communications line that if you have social media, put it there or anywhere you can work with your college on putting it in the right places or getting it out to students. That's kind of what worked last time. And I did just kind of mass emails from deans. And I'm going to do something like that. But one way you guys could use that flyer is to reach out to the dean yourself and just say, hey, is this something that could be facilitated to all the students on campus, things like that. So just watch out for that, and it will kind of be in that line of communications. I would expect it by the end of today or early tomorrow. And if you could do that, that'd be really helpful in kind of the number side and getting students interested in SGA before elections come around, which are going to come around faster than you guys would know. It just happens so fast that it'll be here before we know it. And so, Robert, you go ahead with anything else, any more updates you have.
That's good. I'm done.
All righty. So here I'm going to run on again. I didn't have any assigned student voice reports for today, or I did, but I think just because the various nature of everyone being scattered around, I don't know if it would be commensurate of what you guys would speak about. So next week, College of Business Senators and College of Arts and Sciences Senators will start off just kind of down my list, and that's how my list goes. So I know two of you guys are here, are present. Any reports you guys have, come prepared for those next week. But kind of what I wanted to start and recommend to you guys for those of you guys who are able is kind of do a weekly. I've gotten a few emails from a couple senators in the past week and just about anything that they're doing, specifically senator projects. And I kind of enjoy doing that because that's like the way to connect with you guys, because I can't really do that whenever we're not in the office and things like that. And it's harder for you guys to come on campus if you're not already there. And so I kind of like to see like a weekly report from you guys, and I think I'm going to try to send it out in a document. And now it doesn't have to be anything crazy. In fact, it's just really just serves as like I don't get to see everyone, and I'm a very extroverted person, and so I like to not only hear from people, but it also helps me get like a good round. And I've never really thought that student voice reports that like you getting to a semester do a very good job for you, because I don't know if that's all that's happening in your college. So I think one of the best ways to do that is connect that way, especially because if you meet with your head of constituency 3 months before you give an officer or you get a student voice report, then how is that relevant stuff? And so anytime you have anything come up or you just have ideas, to shoot those that way. And I'll just give you that document. That way I have my own, but it'd be really cool. And I think each week, based off of stuff I'm working on, we can use it as kind of a facilitative discussion document. So let's say I'm asking deans about Canvas, and because I can make my way around that, because that's what I should be doing, and that's what I usually end up doing, I can hear and know exactly what you guys are saying. So I wouldn't say it's going to be big homework, but it might be a little extra work in the sense of just weekly doing those things, and you guys won't not know about it every week. Does that sound like something we could probably knock out? Like I don't want to ask too much more. As like if I could tell you every week during student voice reports, hey, this is something I'm working on, or this is a specific thing you can ask people about, I think that would be more facilitative than, what is it they're hearing? I don't think that facilitates a lot of discussion. I think that might work better. So I just want to let you guys know that, and that'll be in kind of conjunction with that flyer I'll send out to each one of you. So that being said, we will move on to old business. And because old business would be our special election, then that's the first item we'll start with before we move to anything else. So I don't know the exact process. Okay, yes, I'm seeing that. For now, we'll get to Cameron's, but for now we'll start with moving to. I can't make the motion, but I guess we would move to vote. Move to the special election for the vacant secretary spot. That's where we'd be going.
Motion to vote on the vacant secretary position.
Motion seconded.
Okay, so I guess the motion was to just vote, but what we technically do, well, based on the circumstances that I believe Senator Lamberti has rescinded her nomination for the vacant position. So is that how we'll still be proceeding with it? And in that case, then we will allow Senator Foote to still give a presentation just to allow the proceeding to happen as normal, and then we'll move to voting, if that sounds good.
Correct.
Okay, so that being said, you go ahead, Senator Foote.
Okay, so I didn't want to make a whole PowerPoint or anything fancy, but my name is JT Foote. I currently am the senior RA for Ornelas Hall and also a senator for student body at large. And my goal with being the SGA secretary would be to just further my reach to all students and be able to facilitate all things, because I have experience running social media. I have experience like taking minutes and doing sorts of administrative tasks like that with my current job. And I felt like I would be a good fit to help offer my voice, I guess, to e-board meetings and decisions and stuff like that. So that's why I accepted the nomination. That's pretty much all I have.
Alrighty. And does anybody have any quick, I guess, questions for Senator Foote before we move to the to voting? Let me see. I have to withdraw a few permissions. My apologies, guys. Alrighty. And so with that, Robert, can you go over how we will go about voting for this position? So that way we know exactly.
Okay, so you'll just run the poll. It should go to everybody except Josh Neves because he's still a co-host. If you wanted, you could remove him from that, but I think he's fine there. He'll be able to see the poll. But basically what you're gonna do is you're gonna run the poll. When it finishes, if it's a tie, you'll make the decision. You won't have to tell us it's a tie or tell us your decision. You just announce the winner. If it's not a tie, then your vote is obsolete and you just announce the winner.
Okay. And do you have a poll set up somewhere? I'm sorry, I'm not.
Yes. If you click on the polls, it's called
Okay.
Secretary Special Election.
Okay.
All you have to do is run it, and if everyone would just vote accordingly.
Okay. So I have officially done that. Okay. Has everyone voted? So so we had somebody accidentally close out of it, but I know who the vote is. But at this time, there's only two more people that could vote, and basically, no matter what the outcome or any other things are, it would still be yes, vote in favor of JT. So I'm not sure how it's. I just want to make sure that everyone has an opportunity, although we know what the thing will be. But I'm going to end it just for the sake of that. I guess everyone has had the opportunity. It's been over a minute and a half, so we will move on. So
technically, something I forgot, because I mean it is secret ballot, so it didn't really make a difference here. But we probably should have put JT in a waiting room. But again, it's a secret ballot, so it doesn't make any difference. But
okay.
Yeah, it's a secret ballot, and he still gets to vote.
Oh, TJ, he does get to vote. Okay, you're right. So this worked out better.
Alrighty, well then, congratulations, JT. So it's been a long 2 weeks without anybody, and I know that we had a lot of great people serving as secretary in the past, and I expect and I think you'll do a very awesome job at it. So I'm excited to work with you and probably talk your ear off in the office a little, if that sounds kind of relative like I would do. So awesome, and thank you guys. So with that, I guess, does anybody else have anything else to add to old business?
I did mention just wanting to discuss the guest policy. Doesn't need to necessarily be a formal discussion, more so just a question if anything's been done about it.
Motion to briefly discuss the guest policy.
Seconded.
In terms of what I'm aware of, the university has done so far. I know Mickey, who came and spoke 2 weeks ago. He's had a few different meetings with one with Jenny Waters, one with David Hill, and a few others. But to the best of my knowledge, the university hasn't made any official action on it. There is the new, I don't remember exactly what it's called. It's like an extension of care reporting. It's supposed to be a little bit more proactive, kind of to from what I saw whenever I saw the email, it seemed more like a way to treat the symptom rather than go to the root cause, just to like for students who are having mental health issues or things like that. Just kind of like a way for faculty and mandatory reporters to better report on those sorts of things. But that's all I know at this moment.
So just ask, Robert, were you, and thank you for the comment, David, but were you asking in regard to the on-campus housing policy? Were you talking about SGA meeting policy? Because I know we have two guest discussions. So I didn't think so, but for some reason my head went to guests in our meeting, and I know you're rewriting some of that stuff now. So that's on me. Sorry about that.
Yes, no, Senator Botter hit exactly what I was asking about. One of the things I try to focus on is remembering when students come to open forum, because if we forget that, then it kind of defeats that purpose. So I really want us to make sure when somebody comes to open forum, we're taking that seriously. So I try to bring that back up and make sure. And from what I understand, it seems like small steps of maybe being done. I thought maybe Josh, I thought you might have taken some action or something like that.
Yeah, and I said it earlier. I tried to invite Dean Petit a couple weeks ago, but like my email just didn't go through, and I didn't realize it because I heard from Josh that they had talked after the meeting, and we're like, oh yeah, well he's gonna reach out, and then I actually never did because I tried and it didn't go through. So that being said, he should be here next week to discuss those things with us. So yes, we have followed up. It's just been a little too long than I would have liked, just because I messed up somewhere in the technical grapevine of it all. So that one's on me, guys. And thank you, Robert, for bringing it back up, because I think it is really important, and that we kind of do bring these things whenever students come around. And so I think we should hear more about it next week, and we should have more questions about it. Does anybody else have anything they want to add to it? Yeah, any of that in that regard?
Motion to close the discussion.
Seconded.
Alrighty. So that said, does anybody have anything else to add to old business? Usually do not. So we will move on then. Now, I know we do have a special election that's coming out the grapevine. However, I had someone else and something else on the agenda first. So we'll do our first agenda item, and then we'll move to special election nomination. So I do know that Senator Boardman came to me with a senator project proposal. It's awesome to see you guys are considering these things. So I'm excited as I've reviewed it. I'm excited to see what you guys think of it and to hear what your ideas are. I'm sure Senator Boardman would say the same thing. So I need to give you co-host privilege so you can share your screen. Oh, yes. I'm sorry, guys. I'm new to this hosting thing. All righty. There you are.
Okay. All right, can everyone hear me and see my screen?
Yes, sir.
All right. All right. So, like Josh mentioned, I have a center project that I am proposing, and that project is to place benches in front of the the North Ratliff building, otherwise known as RBN. This is something that's been requested by many of the other engineering students that I've come in contact with, and I do think that this project will definitely be a long-term solution to that request. So I met with the director of facilities, Andrew Kraus, and last week, and he said that it is possible to do. So like what we were thinking of is, so the picture to the right, that's those are the kinds of benches that are placed all around campus, like in front of the UC, in front of the library, in front of the arts and science buildings. So what I was thinking of, and then the picture to the left, that's the entrance to the RBN building. And you'll notice there's a dark gray area. There are dark gray areas like to the far left and to the far right of the building. So what I'm proposing is that we place a bench in the dark gray area in the far left and one in the on the other side in that area. So and the so the reason for this is that one, it's in demand, not just by, it's in demand from students, and I think it will benefit the student body, not just my constituents within the College of Engineering, but also any student or faculty member for that matter who has class in the RBN building. And also effectively, you know, there are many students who congregate outside the RBN building, so these benches will allow students to rest or wait for classes or wait for rides or like meet with others, things of that nature, more comfortably. And so the estimated budget, while I don't have a comprehensive itemized cost estimate for this, Mr. Kraus said that his cost estimate for this would be about $3,000 for the benches themselves and the cost of labor to place those benches. And even though that that price may seem like very high, keep in mind that this is a long-term investment and it will have long-term benefits for students like several years after all of us have graduated. And so at this point, I will open it up to any questions from the Senate.
So I have a question and just kind of help facilitate some of the discussion, because one of the things about this is that we don't have a lot of experience with these kind of discussions that we sometimes don't even know what questions asked. So Ben, have you thought of, and I know we discussed it some, have you thought of or reached out into any other offices who may help assist to fund this? Is there anybody, you know, I don't know how funding works off of campus, and that's more difficult, but if this is important for students, and while we could fund it, and because it is a little higher, have you like looked at any other ways, or would you be willing to look at other ways that another organization help fund it, or like an off-campus organization help fund it in kind of a memorial fashion? So I don't know how that funding goes, but is that something that you would look at if SGA were to not cover all of it?
Yes, I could definitely look at other options as well. It's just the thing is, like, as of right now, I'm not entirely sure about other like sources. I may have to meet with you or someone with the Department of Facilities to get more information about that. But yes, if SGA couldn't cover the full tab, I would be able to. I'm sure I'd be capable of finding someone who could.
Okay. Well, and so I think that's one of the key things, is because for one, I'm not exactly sure of what money we have in the SGA Senator budget line at this moment. I think it's just over 7,000. I don't know if Robert has any, if you have any
Right.
memory of it, Robert. I know we don't have anyone to check that. That's one of the pickles that we're in at the moment. And so I think that's something that could be considered if you were willing to.
Right, and so another thing I'll mention is that the amount I mentioned, the 3,000, that's like the absolute maximum. So like anything we don't spend is just going to be returned to SGA. But and like I said, I don't have like an itemized cost estimate, or like I don't yet. But when I suspect it's going to be a little bit less than that 3,000, but I just gave that as like a rough estimate of what, like a ballpark number of what we can expect this to cost. So just know that it could very well be much lower than what I said.
Okay. Does anybody have anything else, any guidance, any recommendations, any thoughts that are we kind of leaning in the direction of looking at other ways to help assist in funding it? I was really just trying to like spur your guys' conversation and hopefully move it somewhere. You go ahead, Robert.
So Ben,
Yes.
can you go back to your very first slide?
Okay. This one.
I think it was previous, that one, there you go. Okay, so I know you mentioned, so continue to your next slide now.
Okay.
I know you mentioned location wise. So do you have your ability to show your mouse and point where you're talking about putting them on this image?
Let's see. So let's see. Is it the remote? Okay.
Yeah, there you go. You can see the mouse there.
Remote control. Okay. Oh, so you can see my mouse right now?
Yeah.
Okay, so it's going to be in this area right here, and also this farther area over here is what me and Andrew were proposing.
Okay, well, I guess what I would say is I like the idea. I'm not an enormous fan of that location because it's a pretty high traffic area. There's a lot of walking from those bushes right there are rose bushes. And so you tend to stay right away from them. They're thorny. And then you would walk right around them and then cut into those two doors. And so the path that you're talking about is pretty much right where most people would walk if they're coming past those bicycles. So go to your previous slide, if you would, please.
Yes. Yeah, an alternate location would be, so I have this side, the right end of the building photographed. So it could be like somewhere like closer to the or like next to the bike lanes, as well as like there's another area of the sidewalk that is also that I could put the other bench as well. So if you're not, so if you
And I
think
wondered, I guess.
Yes.
I guess the concrete is the best place. I was thinking that this grassy area here is a pretty ideal environment as well, but I definitely know that putting them on the concrete is I think something that around campus that's usually being preferred.
Right. Yeah. When I spoke to Andrew about this, he said that the like the areas that are like dark gray, it's going to be much easier to install them in like those like blocks of area than it would be anywhere else. Like in front of if I were to go the route of putting them in front of the building. So, and here I'll just go back to, well, I'll go to this slide here. So let's see, I don't know if you can tell. So yeah, there's a walkway, like you'd still have this walkway from here and this walkway from here, this clear path, but the benches would just be like towards the end. Like, but if you think that's going to be problematic, I'm also open to placing them like one on each side, like to the left and to the right of the RBN building as well. But
yeah, so I mean, I definitely think there's some room for improvement on the location and keeping them ideal.
All right.
I also wonder, do those rose bushes, I don't think I've ever seen them look good. I also wonder is just taking them out an option as well, and maybe going the bench right there in that location. Just maybe just some things to consider when you're pursuing this, some alternative options on location.
Okay, got it.
Does anybody have anything else or questions to add? Any points, any guidance? So, and just to give some insight into it, typically how this would go is just like we would decide on if there needs to be more discussion, if there needs to be a small committee or a group designated to working on this further. I'm of the opinion, just briefly, is that and I think Senator Boardman did a really good job of presenting it, and he brought a lot of good ideas to it. But my perception is maybe there's a way we can lower the cost of the SGA portion of it. And that's just because I think we could, and it would be something to explore. And if within 3 or 4 weeks we couldn't, we would also better know the scope of what the next half of the semester would look like, and then know what money we'd have to work with. So what I just mean by that is if we wait and no other senator projects come up, then we can just foot the whole bill. However, if we jump into it now, then we don't know, and we take up half the SGA funding, we don't know what it could look like. Now, you've done most of the work. So the last thing we'd have to do is we come back in 4 weeks and I'll go, hey, no one else has really participated. Let's just vote this thing and get it through. And I think it's worth that. It's just, that's kind of what I'm asking is that how do we want to go about it? And is there a way we can always designate a small group of people and work on it and then come back within a couple weeks and see what it looks like too. But it's up to you guys ultimately.
Right. And I'll just make another comment real quick. So so it was mentioned that we could also remove the rose bushes and place the benches there. So that would change the scope of the project, and I would have to get a new cost estimate for that as well. So the two best options I can think of as of right now are putting them in the areas I suggested, or placing them off the sides. After I talked to Andrew again about like ADA guidelines for placing benches near like where I'm proposing they go, but he did confirm that it would work to place them in the areas that I initially suggested. So those are the two options I'm leaning towards right now. But yes, we can table this discussion for another time, as well as like in 3 to 4 weeks from now, if depending on how much demand for senator projects there are, we can revisit the financial issue then. But because like time-wise, like after the benches are paid for, it's going to be fairly quick and easy to, at least for the facility department to install them. So those are my comments about that.
So does anybody have anything else to put forward? All right. Well, I'm not seeing any. I just wanted to say something really quick. For one, just thank you, Senator Boardman, because it's kind of a tough task, whether you think it or not. And I think it goes to show there's a reason why only 2 of you guys have gone to do this, because it can be tough to sit and plan these things. And so I want to say you did an awesome job. And before we close anything up, too, second, one of the toughest things about these projects is once you get them paid, is seeing them come to fruition. And that's just going to be one of the tough parts on the SGA after it gets paid for, is staying on it and making sure they get in the ground. Because I can just say that we've had a project, and I think the only person who was around to see it was us, Vice President Stabenow, and that we had a bike rack paid for, and I'm pretty sure it's still not up. And I think that's one of the coolest parts about it, is getting to see that come to fruition.
So there is a bike rack, it's just not in the concrete yet.
Yes, so we have had the thing that we purchased in about September of 2018 is still not in the concrete. So that's just one of those things, and I think you would get it done. I was just saying that kind of to your comment is that once we do get it, it is very quick to get in there, but part of the SGA's job will be to get it in there. So does anybody so I guess what I would say is I entertain a motion to table this discussion till a task force can meet regarding this project.
Motion to table discussion.
Motion seconded.
Seconded.
Okay, all those in favor of tabling this, we'll put a poll up, I think, really fast. I can't do the polls anymore, Robert. You took that opportunity from me.
Did I?
Yeah, I can't do it as a co-host, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, you can. I normally do them as co-host.
Oh,
Josh is not a co-host anymore.
Oh, are you not a co-host?
No.
That's probably because you made me the host, huh?
Yes.
yes.
Should I just abstain since this is my project? But
Yeah,
okay.
I would suggest
So-
it. Technically, you could vote either way, but
Okay, well, it's not giving me an option to vote. So if you're wondering why there's like one less vote, that's why.
That's because as a
so the
co-host.
motion was approved.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
you're a co-host right now, so
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
Okay, so what I would say is whenever we can. I know that Robert stays in the office around the same time I can. And I know Robert's kind of a good guru on a lot of these things. For one, he's just a really smart guy. He's a smart fella, I would say. But anybody else who's available, we'll make a meeting, and you and I for sure, Senator Boardman, will get together and discuss it, and maybe with Joshua Needs or anyone else. Hopefully by the end of this week or even beginning of next week, we'll get together and kind of have a pathway, discuss it, work on some things, and then have 2 meetings at least before we open this discussion back up, if that works good.
Okay, yeah, that's fine with me. Just let me know like in advance, like as far as scheduling goes.
Yeah, of course. I'll reach out to you tomorrow, most likely.
All right.
So
Sounds good. So, can I?
yeah, you can take that off.
Okay.
So awesome work. Does anybody have anything to add to new business before we wrap all of our work up? I'm not. Oh wait.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. Motion to discuss the nominations made by Cameron Long.
Motion seconded.
Okay, go ahead, Senator Botter.
Okay. I already talked to Cameron a little bit beforehand, and I'm really flattered. But the same thing with the treasurer position as the secretary. I just don't think I'll have the time to do it right. So I'd rather not run if I don't think I could. So I would like to encourage everybody to vote for Senator Lamberti. And thank you.
And I'm already nominated and accepted a different position, so I'm not going to accept my nomination. And I will also defer my little posse of people that exists of only me to Senator Lamberti.
Okay. And while I appreciate Cameron's confidence in me for the position, I will have to respectfully decline the nomination, as I have like many other commitments within the College of Engineering as is. So I won't be able to give it the time and energy that it deserves either. So having said that, I will also endorse Senator Lamberti for the position of treasurer.
Thank you, guys.
All righty. Well, Robert, and not to ruin the fun of that, I know I really enjoy that. That's awesome that Cameron did that. Is there another more formal way we have to, just to make sure we're in line? So there isn't. Except I will ask, is anybody else wanting to nominate themselves or nominate any other person before we move forward? I'm not seeing anybody. So nope. Alrighty then. So with that, we still have to follow the normal procedures as outlined in section 12 of our, I was about to say US Constitution, but the SGA Constitution. So we will wait a week, and then again, we'll follow a very similar procedure that we saw this week with now Secretary Foote. And you guys are gonna like blow me away with these names. It's like new names. It's like starting a course as a college professor. So just to let you know, Senator Lamberti, just be prepared next week for a very similar thing. We'll allow you to speak as you wish of any plans you have, and then we will come back and wrap this back around next week if that works for everyone. Alrighty. Do we have to, sorry, Robert, just to make sure, do we need to motion to close the nominations? Otherwise the nominations would stay open indefinitely. No? Okay. Alrighty then. So with that, I'm sorry that I almost let that slip my mind. You guys are awesome for letting that not happen. I just did not have it here on my agenda. So does anybody have anything else to add before we move? Well, we typically do advisor comments, but does anybody have anything to add to new business? You type something down. Okay, well, I'm not seeing anything. So with that, as I do not see anything for new business, we'll close that and we'll move into I just want to leave you guys with a little bit more. Joshua already stepped out of the meeting because he has an event. If you guys are available to make it to the event on campus, I think it will be really fun because it's going to be one of the most quote unquote normal things we've seen as an event on campus. So if you guys are around, there's free pizza and there's going to be a cool t-shirt. Other than that, I did want to let you guys know to keep your head on the swivel. I'm going to be sending out those announcements specifically with the flyer. If you have social media or something, if you guys could post that there or give it to you, especially residential senders, if you could give it to your RC or something, or if you are an RA, I know a couple of those in this group. If you are an RA, you know, where you can put those up and where it's available. Obviously, don't break any of the rules that student engagement has for placing them up or your residential facility has for placing them anywhere. But please do that because I'd like to see some interest just garnered before we get into the election season, because again, that'll come before you guys know it. Other than that, I am going to send out, I'm going to try to create a quick little form as a kind of a small weekly senator report and kind of with a small topic. Again, I don't mean to be, I definitely don't mean to be a professor about it and make an assignment for you guys so much as it would be helpful to be able to communicate with you guys that way. And because there are some things that sometimes it's hard, unless you have it on a document to like, oh, I've got to do this every week. And hopefully I can just, even if it's just a couple every week, it'd be really nice to hear just those specific things that I have concerns about. So that's all that I have. Does anybody have any last minute things to share before we motion to adjourn the meeting? Going once. I'm not seeing it.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion seconded.
Okay. So magical polling station. Ten of 12. Okay. With that, then, you guys have a great rest of your day. Again, if you guys, as always, if you need anything that I can be of assistance with, just let me know. And I will see you guys on Wednesday. And now I'll see. When is the event tonight? It is 7 p.m. 6:45. Oh, but it depends on which one you're going to. There's about 2 events on campus right now. However, it's at 7 p.m. on Harvey Deck, Senator Watkins. I'll see you guys there if you're going. And if you're not, then be well and have a great rest of your evening.